Back again. And this time around we're going to be talking more about primary industries in Queensland and why it was so important that during that World Expo event that primary industries was featured and was promoted because it's such an important job generator, wealth creator.
Correct.
And I just thought, Andrew Schultz, the fellow who's in most part the vision has come from, and who's really the person who's donated that box of records that we spoke about in the previous YouTube that are going into, next week, going into the John Oxley Library, and where the minutes have come from. And believe it or not, Don, in that box there is a packet of records in there of about 600 children right around Australia that wrote into a competition. And it is amazing sitting down and reading each one of the letters as to what the kids' personal experiences were, kids 5, 6, 8, 9, 10, because they had various divisions.
Yeah. And
they wrote in, and the John Oxley Library, I know, will be absolutely amazed with that collection. So anyway, coming back to the topic, primary industries. In your parliamentary experience, even though you were based in Brisbane, you would have no doubt been on lots of parliamentary committees. So in your opinion, just where does primary industries fit in the Queensland narrative?
Well, Peter, I'll share something with you that I actually went to Gatton College, where I learned that I didn't want to go on the land. But that was many, many decades ago. But it's all Queensland really, in its earlier years, was built on primary industry and primary industry alone. These days we talk about mining and all this. Well, of course, there's always been a Mount Isa up there, but Queensland was just so built, and so many high percentage of our population was dependent on even agricultural pursuits for their very living. And Queensland, even today, we had the history of sugar cane and pineapples, and I know even my own wife's grandmother brought in the first ginger, absolute leaf, which now Budrum, and she owned a big factory in Wollongabba called the State Jam Factory. That was bought by John Elliott, who closed it down and transferred all the products to Sydney. And that very factory had its beginnings on her making jam, firstly under her house at Buranda, and then it just grew, and when they re-established it, grew, and a lot of the Russians that had come to Queensland following the takeover up there, the White Russians they were called, who fled to Queensland from communism, worked there at that factory.
Amazing. And that's some of the history. I mean, we could go on actually on those two, because A, my father's business was based at Buranda, directly opposite that.
Yeah.
And B, the Cannon Garland narrative, the man who gave us Anzac Day, was based so much upon the support from those very white Russians. But we're not here to talk about that. We are here to talk about World Expo 88. And so we'll cut off here and move on to the next part of the narrative as we stitch together this playlist with Don Cameron that then links back to so many other playlists that we've recorded over the last 10 years or so. Thank you.